Hi, Travis with Splunk here. Wanted to go over another way to get data into Splunk via scripted inputs. Now, I don't necessarily am, great at writing scripts and, coding and whatnot. But if you ever look inside of the Unix, Linux TA, the Nix TA app that we have, or other apps out there, you may see scripts that are running to pull that data in. So I was working with SNMP data to get a better understanding of that protocol and how to reach out and get data from devices that I may not be able to put the universal forwarder on. So here I've actually got it set up from one of my Linux boxes that I have running, and I'm going to make some SNMP calls to bring data into Splunk, and I'm going to go from uh, that initial call, turn it into a script, look inside of Splunk to see how the data is showing up, probably do some field extractions, and then maybe build a report with the data I'm going to collect throughout this video. So it's going to be a little bit longer one. But here, let's first start with going out and looking up documentation like I always do, so we can get a better understanding of where to get information to help us through this journey. I've already pulled up the documents. Go out to your favorite search engine, do, Splunk, getting data in, and then from there you'll be able to find these. I'll also have the links, all the links like I always do, listed below. But here is our document around getting data in different ways. If I scroll down, I believe I'm already at, the API and remote data interfaces through scripted inputs and how to add those inside of Splunk Web. What I'm going to end up doing is actually going out to my Linux box that I have with, where I can make the SNMP calls from and creating a script out there. But here is more information for how to do all of this. And here, the add scripted inputs via inputs.conf file. I'll make sure to go in and add that. And then there is Splunk Dev site that you can come out here and get an example of how to do this as well. So if you haven't been out to our developer site, please check that out. A lot of good information here. Another good site will be our Splunk Lantern site, where we do have an article about getting data in and the different ways of doing it and links to more information. And then I'm talking about SNMP data. I don't know. I'm not like the best at networking. So to get better at it, I started doing a more manual process of using a program called Net SNMP and making SNMP walk, SNMP get, or the SNMP table, making those requests against my OPNsense firewall. Yes, I can actually install the universal forwarder, and I have it installed on my OPNsense firewall, but I wanted to learn another way and show another way of getting data in if you don't have that capability to install our universal forwarder, which I do highly recommend if you can go that route. But here, NetSNP, the different, how to use the different commands here. Other than manually doing this, there is nice applications, third-party tools. For example, NetFlow Logic. I've talked to these people before. My counterpart, he really likes this application. It's kind of easier to get that SNMP data in and NetFlow data. So if you just want a tool to work and you don't have to do all the manual stuff like I'm going to do, give this tool, a look at. And then we do have Splunk Connect for SNMP that the Splunk teams have built, where it deploys a Kubernetes cluster to help you go out there and collect that SNMP data. And then if you ever need to understand what the different OIDs and what they mean, that's funny. There we go. You can come out here, and this is the OID I'm going to be working with, is for memory utilization. So I'm going to go in and I'll show you, I'm going to probably tear apart or just kind of briefly go into the Nix TA and show how it grabs memory information. And then I'm going to do these SNMP calls, looking at these OIDs, and try to duplicate the same thing. With that, let's jump back over to Splunk here. I'm going to go to search and reporting. And what I've already done, because I was practicing this and I've actually collected SNMP data. So I created an index. And if you don't remember how to create an index, go up to settings, indexes. You can be in the app that you want it to be in, or, go to search and reporting app like I have here. If I go, create new index, and that's where you can type in all of that information. But right now, if I do a filter search, I do have a SNMP index created, and I have data going in there. So I'm going to go back to, there we go, yeah, home. Actually, I probably just should have went to search, and I'm going to do an index equals SNMP. And this is data I'm already collecting, and I've been collecting from my firewall, which I call hall wall, which just made me think about something. So, in this instance here, for my demonstration purposes, I've only got one device I want to collect SNMP data from. So when I go into my inputs.conf file, I've actually specified that hall wall for the host when I run this script. Now, in an environment where you have multiple devices, unless you want everything named the same host, you may have to think about either your script or some other way to be able to separate the data. I don't know if running the script, multiple times against the different devices. I'd have to think about that when I'm doing that, and that's where reaching out to the NetFlow Logic people or using our Splunk Connect for SNMP or another third-party tool to bring in the SNMP data may be more of an advantage, as they should have that all figured out. But I would have to defer to them. But I will go into the inputs.conf file and show you how I've set it up here. So if you are running a script against one box and you don't specify, so all of the metrics from the NICS TA, since I'm trying to use the universal forwarder and trying to collect that metrics data locally, it will, if I don't specify host equals and a name, it will just grab the name of that box. But yeah, we'll move on. First, let's jump over to that Ubuntu box that I'm going to be running the SNMP calls from. So here I have created a folder called SNMP under my ops Splunk forwarder etc apps directory inside of this folder. So I'll make sure to click that ls. I have a bin and a local folder. So in the bin folder is where I'm going to store all of my scripts. So I'm going to go into that and we'll do another ls. And you can see I have 3 scripts I've already put together to bring in SNMP data. If I do a more on the CPU, you can see what the command is I'm running, and I can actually just copy that, run it, and this is the output that I'm getting. If I go back over to Splunk Web and find that source type, CPU load, which I haven't showed you the inputs, so you didn't know the source type, I've got it defined in there. But here is my CPU load 1 minute, and you can see the output is, the same. Now going back over to the Ubuntu box, in here, if I back up and go back into that local folder, so cd local, and I'm going to do a clear here and then do another ls. You can see I have the app.conf to enable this app and inputs.conf. So I'll do a more on the inputs.conf. And this is where I was talking about earlier with defining that host name. So every time this script runs, it's going to use this host name. It's going to use the index where to send the index data. And I define the source type here with the IF table, the hardware table, and even or hardware or the software that's actually installed, and then CPU load. So, and then I defined the interval, how often do I want to get this information? Every 60 seconds, every, I'd have to do the math again. I think it's 1 hour there. And then, or do I, want to, you know, increase it, decrease it? You decide how often you want these scripts to run. You know what? I'm going to jump over to my firewall. I'm logged into it. Now I'm in the ops Splunk Forwarder Etsy apps directory. I basically renamed the NixTA app and called it OPNsense Metrics. And if you compare, I don't know if I took everything out, but I'm pretty sure I just renamed it. But in here, I have that bin folder as well. And you can get more examples of scripts that have been created with that NixTA and how to get data in via metrics. So if I'm going to look at the vmstat.sh, I believe, well, here, why do I say I believe? Let me back up. I'll do this. I'll go into local, and then I can do a more on this inputs.conf, and I can show you which ones I do have enabled. And so for a lot of the metrics data that I want for memory, I believe is coming out of the vmstat script. So if I go scroll up, yeah, right here, this vmstat, I believe this is where I'm getting a lot of, for my Unix and Linux devices that have a universal forwarder installed. So I am going to Control C, let's do a clear. I'm gonna back up a folder. I'm gonna go back into this bin folder. I'll do a more on the vmstat dot or underscore metrics. And then you can come in here to get an example of how other people have put scripts together. This is a FreeBSD environment, and there is a section. I've actually got this. I went through and kind of reverse engineered it, or tried to do my best. Like I said, I'm not the greatest at coding and whatnot, but I can, read and understand basics of what's going on. And this is a FreeBSD environment, so it's going to come down here and use this section. And then here is a command, and there's 3 different ones it will use to help get the information. And if you go into the parse, and it's a lot nicer with like a notepad plus plus or something to really look at this. But in here, it does use these commands. So if I Control C, I believe, let me do a clear real quick. I've been running these commands. There's a script. So I could just say vmstat underscore metrics dot sh and run the script. And this is what my app is doing to bring the data in for all my Unix and Linux boxes. And this is how it looked. That memory total is at the top here, which correlates with this. If I were to spread this out and not be so compact for, the YouTube video, I've had it pulled out to where it lines up so I can visually see it better. But, to make it where you all can see it, I've got it crunched up right now. But, memory free, here's the number that the Splunk TA. So you may want to compare other ways. If I actually Control C, and I know I have the commands in here where I was playing with it. Like here is the vmstat-s. I can come in here and compare what I'm seeing in here, or that hopefully y'all are laughing how I'm just going up to find the commands I've already ran. Or top, here we go, I have top dash sb, where I can see that memory. And that's where, when you start digging into this script here, it will actually go and look for parse here, swap, and then memory free, and it gets the information there. And that's how the Splunk NixTA goes and displays this information. So my goal is to use, let me go back to here, these Nix, or not Nix, but this SNMP walk to bring in that information and do something similar. Which, oops, you know what? I have it copied over here. I don't know if I showed this command yet. We're going to do this right here. And I want to be able to do this. Take these numbers, which we can see right here, memory total real. Oops. Here. And that should be the physical memory that I have. If you, I showed it earlier, and I'll make sure the links are down below. If I come back over to my web browser and go into the OID, you can find information to help you understand what you're looking at when you're looking at these, OIDs. And that's how I started. It was just, do a SNMP walk and bring everything in and go, okay, let's output that to a text file and let me bring it into Notepad plus plus and do a search and find the information, or just do some Google searches. But this will help you understand. And then I had to figure out, how am I going to, because if you look at the total, like here, what is it? Memory available. And if I go back to that output, memory available, you would see, hey, it's not that much. However, if I jump back to my, and yeah, here we go. If I come back here, it appears, here's my memory free, that I have a lot more memory than what my SNMP walk's doing. And that's because, and it took me a little bit to figure this out. Let me go back to that Ubuntu box where I ran that SNMP command. I had to do math and add this memory cache. It's not that it's just there ready to be used, so it's still available from what I understand, what of all the reading I've done. So I actually add the mem cached, and then I need to add mem free and mem right here available real. And then once I do my math, and I'm going to get into this when I bring all the data into Splunk, I'll start getting a percentage that's very similar to what Splunk is showing. And when I go into my OPNsense GUI, what is showing there. Hopefully I haven't lost you with all the bouncing around here, but I really like to go in the rabbit hole and kind of go over where my thoughts are, and stuff I've done to help me understand what I'm doing here and bringing data into Splunk, and show you examples of where to get data and help you better understand, so you can do the same thing I'm doing here. So with that, let's create another script here where I'm going to come over here. Let's see. And I'm going to back up, turn the volume down on my speaker, and then cd bin. And I'm going to VI. Actually, what I'll do is I'll do a more, and then CPU. There we go. And then I'll do a VI. Let's call it mem. I don't know. Info. meminfo.sh. And there we go. And what I can do is scroll up, because I want this part. There we go. Insert. And then I forgot. Nope, I did actually copy the command off screen here. What I want, I'm going to use the OID instead of just the name. Yeah, I'm going to use this OID. And then I'm going to escape. And what I mean by use the OID, there's two ways I can do this. I can use the SNMP walk with the OID, or I could have used it with the command, or not command, but the clear text name of mem. So let me first write and quit. Bam. Then I should have mem info. I'm gonna do a, let's see, ls dash la, and I'm going to do I'm going to make sure that root has ownership here, and let's see, Splunk mem info. And then I will give it, let's see, chmod, make sure we have, I think it's 775. I don't remember what, and I'd have to go look it up here real quick. ls-la. So yeah, it wasn't 775, but it'll work. I just want to make sure I can read and execute. And with the permissions that I had before, it wouldn't read and execute. And I don't remember exactly what I did, but maybe it was 755. I'd have to go and figure that out, but I'm not going to worry about it too much more. So now what I'm going to do is back up local, and that's going to be funny because people are better with Unix and all that than I am. Probably make fun of me. There's probably easier ways to do all of this. All right, so now what I'm going to do is insert, and I'm really just going to highlight this one here, because I want the same thing, and add it, and I'm just right clicking to get that. And then I'm going to go up. We got to give this a different source type. So let's call it mem info. We'll just stay with that. And then I need to make sure that I have the script mem info. And there we go. I'm going to have it run every 60 seconds to bring that information in. I'm going to give it a source type mem info. That's going to help me later on when I go into the Splunk GUI to start parsing the data. So if I build out field extractions, I can say, hey, source type this. And I'm going to leave the source alone so I know where it's coming from. So that's what I normally like to do. But in some instances, you may have to rename the source as well. But for this one, I'm not. I'm going to keep index. I'm going to send it all to my SNMP directory. And I am going to keep it, since this is only a single box that I'm collecting from, I'll hard code the host in there. So now I'm going to escape, right, and quit. And then, yeah, mem info. All right. So let's jump, actually, well, before that, because it may, I can go back and actually, let's go to the bin folder. I could test this and make sure I'm going to get the output that I want, which I am right there. And that's where, if you are working with VMstat, I'm not sure if I remember doing this in another video, but I'll back up here and show you that, here is the Nix TA. So Splunk underscore TA underscore Nix. I'll go into the bin folder, and then here, same scripts. I just copied and moved them over to my own OPNsense metrics collection app. Kind of helps me organize stuff. You can just easily just deploy this, and then maybe that's what I should have done, was deployed the Splunk TA Nix app out to the OPNsense. Maybe should have done it. Deployed that and then created the OPNsense metrics to, use that to just do my inputs. However, you will have to make sure that your inputs.conf file knows where these shell scripts exist, and if they're in another app, you'll have to make sure you have that correct. All right, so yeah, but from here I can do the same thing if I wanted to, just vm stat.sh, and then you can get the output there, which, ooh, there it goes. Just took a second. So with that, I'm going to jump over Splunk Web and show you something real quick. Even though, and I need to go over here to home. Let's remove this. I still have, let's see how many source types I still have. I still have 3. And that's because even though I've updated the inputs.conf and I created a new script, I've got to restart the Splunk forwarder on here before that data will start coming in. So if I do let me click into here, opt, and I'm just going to do it this way. Splunk bin, and then Splunk restart. There we go. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, I was logged in as the appropriate, which, like I said, not best practice root. But yeah, I'm just going to restart. Now, when I go back to Splunk Web, and after, I'm not sure exactly how much time, so let's jump over to Splunk Web here. There we go. And let's rerun the search and see if I see that source type yet, to see how quickly this data will come in. And look, I've already got one event for that memory info. And it's coming in, and I have all 23 lines in one event. Now, off to the left-hand side here, you can see an interesting field. Splunk will try to do its best to break up and parse this data, especially when it comes in as raw and you don't know what it's going to look like once it gets to Splunk. You may know what it's going to look like, and you already know how to use a props and transforms, or maybe ingest actions to be able to break this data up correctly. But right now, I've sent it over. Haven't done any kind of field extraction or source type parsing related functions at this time. And Splunk is using that equal sign to try to create a field name and then the value. So if I come over here to the left hand side and look at like mem total free, it's given me the value of integer. It's not giving me the value that I need. Even like the free X, total real. I mean, I'm getting the wrong value right now, so I will have to go back in to Splunk and rebuild, retrain it basically. First, we can try to use Splunk's field extraction. And if you haven't seen my video, I've already done a video around, field extractions and how to do it and using regex 101. And I've kind of went in, took a break there for a second and actually figured out one way of extracting this. I don't know if it's going to be the proper way or the final version, but I got it working. But first, let me show you some of the steps I took in failures and let you see what I've done. So we're going to come down here and click on this. We're going to do event actions. I'm going to click extract fields. And then I'm going to scroll down here, make sure I select regular expression, go up to top, hit next. So then I can try to use Splunk, and this was mem index, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm just kind of sticking with, the name here. I may change that later, when I decide maybe that's not really what I want, but for now, this is what I'm going to go with. And then I'm going to add the second one. Always make sure when you're using the field extractor, you're just not double clicking, because it may give you that extra space that can cause problems. But when I get here and I type in mem total swap, like in my field extraction video, our extractor breaks. It just may be a little bit too much for it to figure out. If I even, if I delete this one, remove field, remove, I could look at how Splunk's, field extraction is trying to do what I ultimately ended up doing in regex 101. And actually, I'm going to close this out since this is not going to be the way. And I'm going to grab that regex 101 tab and throw it up here. And you can see I've already built out, and not to make you watch me do all of this, but I've already built it out. I started, Word, I matched the word. I actually started, typing it out, literally, did mem underscore index. And when I did the first few lines, I was like, I don't feel like typing out the name. So I noticed in my test string here, everything started with digits. So that's where I ended up doing just the /w and then plus. Still learning regex, regular expression, and how to use it, but I love regex 101. It's really helped me to get further along. So after that, and I've got my um, regular expression figured out, now I need to update the props and transforms. Now you can put this in whatever app you want, and I'm actually going to grab another tab where I went into Config Explorer. And what Config Explorer is, oops, let me go back. It's just an app that I've installed, and I still need to make a video around this. I know I've said that a couple of times, but I'm going to go back to that Config Explorer, and it's going to bring back up. So I went into Etsy app search local. You can decide to put this in any other um, app that you want to keep it all in one spot. But yes, Etsy apps local. I clicked on props and I went to the bottom. You can see I'm always playing with different things here, and from other videos. Here's here's the SNMP stuff that I did. I used the field. No, I don't. No, I did not use the field extractor for that one, but I did use it down here where you can see the extract. But I needed a report, which is this right here. So I put in my source type meminfo report, and I call it meminfo underscore extraction, and I point to the transforms meminfo. So if I go into transforms here, you can see I have my meminfo that associated to this here. Let's see. I think it's hopefully that's big enough for y'all to see. I just thought about that. But anyway, I grab the regex 101 output here, came back to Config Explorer, and I'm using Config Explorer just so I don't have to go and log in and try to use VI and everything else for this, because I could go on to the indexer. I'm not secure shelled into the indexer, but I've set up Config Explorer where I can make changes to my configuration files. Like I said, I'll go over that in another video. But here is that regex that I built, and then format. That's going to be important because when I built it in regex 101, I have the different groups over here, the matching groups, which of course is the things that are wrapped in um, parentheses. So I have to give it a format in the transforms.conf format equals, and then name my first field memindex, and then the $1, the next field name $2, and so on. And if you need examples, jump out to I'd back up here, bam, and go out to the next TA and take a look in the default folder what the props and transforms is doing in there. And that's what I did in here. Is I forget, and I gotta remind myself, because if you don't do this every day, I mean, you kind of forget. That's why another reason why I'm making the videos to help me remember stuff I do. But here is examples from transforms and props. So you can go in here and see the example. Of course, you can go out to our documentation or Splunk's documentation. So once you get that all figured out, and if I come back over here to search and I rerun this, because I haven't run this one here, I've been keeping it the same, and you'll see where the time values will change. I was, like I said, working on it for a little bit. But here we do have memavail real instead of _0. So I've got this all updated. So now I can start doing what I wanted and build some reports off of this. Let's go back up to the top here. We've got the base search. I've got the fields that I've wanted, and one of the fields I'm going to play with is this mem total real. Because once I go out to, let's go back here, I can look at mem total real, and this should be total RAM in the machine. So here, what I would like is a way to maybe like a single value to show this off, and I can save it as a report, or I could add it to a dashboard. So yeah, that's what I'll do. Let's create a dashboard. So let's do an eval, and I'm going to put this, I'm going to call a field megabytes, because I want to get this down to megabytes, and then I will end up rounding this. So I'll have to round it all, and then mem total real, and I'm going to spell real correctly. And then I'm going to divide that by 1024. So pipe and stats, I can say average, or maybe the last. We can play around with what is going to be best for my visualization. But here now I can click on, I've got it right there, 873. I can say visualization, let's say single value, and there we go. And I'm going to save this as a new dashboard. So here we go, dashboard. Call it something simple, firewall stats. We're going to use the dashboard studio. We're going to do absolute, save to dashboard. And now I can view that dashboard with the single value. And this is where I can start adding more information to it. Adjust this one, come up here and click edit and make sure that, make sure that my back clicking the wrong things, but make sure that this single value search is using the default time range so I can get them all lined up here. Apply and close. And if I want to start adjusting the colors, I did a video about that, making this change different colors depending on the number and whatnot. Let's add a few more searches to this. Now there's a couple ways we can do this. I can come in here and click the data sources and start creating a search, but maybe I don't know what I really want yet. So I'm going to go back to that search bar. And I'll leave this alone. Then from here, I'm going to go back to that base search, which I have it saved here. I'm going to rerun that. I'm going to put this on the last 60 minutes. So I don't have, too much data yet. I'm getting there. And we're going to look at the left-hand side here. And I've already went through and figured out, I looked at a lot of, Googling and searching around just to understand which of these fields are going to give me the number I need. Because if I expand this out, I have mem cached, and if I want to know how much memory is really available to my system, what I was reading was total free doesn't give you the complete number. Minimum swap, there's shared, there's buffer, there's cached. And you can see cached has a lot there. And if somebody wants to correct me, I'm going to use cached because even though it's cached, it's still available to use. And I'm actually going to add together cached, mem avail real, mem total free, and mem shared. That's what I've figured. And it gets me, when I start comparing it to what OPNsense tells me, it gets me pretty close to the exact number. So let's do that with an eval. So I'm going to go back up the top here. And I've already got the eval written. So to save time, I will get that done. So there we go. And I need to get out this here. So I'm doing an eval. I create a new field called free MB. I'm going to round this to megabytes instead of the bigger number. And then there's where I've got to wrap. I want to add these together first. So I wrap that in quotes and then divide it by 1024. So when I run this search, I will start getting, the numbers over here, what I should have available for free memory. I can easily turn this into a, by default it says column. I can do a line. So there's a couple ways I can go about doing this. To get this over to the new dashboard, I can click Save As to an existing dashboard, and then I can go find that existing dashboard, which will be firewall stats. We can say line chart and save. And then if I view that dashboard again, here we go with the new line chart. And then I can edit. We could make this much smaller and make this much bigger. And if I don't like, say, this visualization, maybe I don't really care because, here I didn't put a title in here, total RAM, do something like that. If I want this bigger, we can maybe do a this smaller so I can see that a little bit better. If I want to make this bigger, maybe I want to do like a markdown text box or something to go along with this. Here instead of maybe what's free, I could leave it like this, or maybe I want a utilization. So here, I can leave this here just for fun. But maybe I want a utilization, like a percentage and whatnot. I could put in here a number for, here's what's my total. I could put a number down here for what's being used. So I can, another way we can do this is create our new search, and you can see each time I've created one, there's a line chart search, single value search. I can go rename these. I can also create a new search here, and I've already got the new search that I want available, saved already. And if you want, I will, you know what, what I'll do is I'll copy it here, paste it here, and then open a new search and show you how it works, and we'll make sure it works first. So I'm doing the same thing I was doing before, except now, I put in used as my new field. I round because I want to, round the number up. And if I don't put it on last 60 minutes, you will not see any data because last 24 hours, but I do have data in the last 60 minutes. And you can see now I have, 1,403. If I was to subtract and add those, last number was this number, it should equal 8,073. I haven't checked that. Maybe I'll do that when I get done with this video. But here we can see I take that memory total because I got the round, I got the quotes around it, or parentheses, I mean, and then mem total minus, and then I got to do this addition first, which then once that's done, it'll do this subtraction and then divide that by 1024 to give me this nice number. And then if I, leave it as a time chart, then I can get a same thing. So I know this search is going to be fine. I can go back to my dashboard and I can say apply and close. And now I have another one, but it, I forgot to name it. So let's just put here and I'll say used MB time chart. Apply and close. And then I can add a time chart line. We'll do that. Tell it to use this one. We'll make sure, yep, there we go. And we can start seeing, and it looks like it didn't grab my time range. Oh no, it did grab my time range. I'll have to check this one here, because maybe that's the one that didn't grab it. So this one grabbed it, and the reason why I can tell is because there's a check, looks like a check mark here. But if I come over here and click on this one and click and edit this search, yes, it's on a static time range because I saved it from the last one. So if I go to default, apply and close, it should be using the last 24 hours now. So if I take this and make it 60, let's make sure that works. Yeah, the numbers will adjust, and now I only see the last, 60 minutes. There we go. Now, if I want a percentage, I could figure out here, like, hey, here's, oh, I didn't give a, I didn't give a title to any of these, of course. And you know what? I feel like I need to make this a little bit bigger. I don't know if that helps. We'll leave it there. But anyway, I've got what is available free. I've got what is being used. If you don't need both of those, you can delete them, get rid of them. And I'll show another way of looking at this information is maybe percentage. Maybe you want to look at percentage used. So let's go and, I will open up and cancel. I'm going to open up a new tab here, and we're going to show off this search where I'm looking at the index equals SNMP. Could I start building maybe post-processing or chain searches off of this? Yes, and that's what I should be doing. So after I get this done, I'll probably go back through and re-edit all this and make it one search to do everything I need here. And maybe if I have time right now, I'll do that. But here we have our base search, we have eval, and then I'm going to create another field for percentage. I'm going to round it again. And if you would like, I can, let's see here, let me run this for the last 60 minutes and show you that it does work. But I'm going to do a round. I'm going to do that mem total. This is what total memory I have. I'm going to do my addition here again, but instead of dividing there, I'm actually just going to dividing at 1024. I'm going to divide what I added here minus here. I'll divide it by the memory total and take that times 100 to give me my percentage. And then here I can do my percentage. We can make it a line, or let's do an area chart so we can see it's something different. You can make the single value, make it whatever you want. But while I'm thinking about it, let's create a base search. And instead of having, let's, 4 different searches running when I open this panel, I only have one search and it's doing multiple things. I'm going to take a look at my searches that I have now. I can open up each one of them and start looking at the fields that I'm using and see if there's a common theme, because my base search is going to have all of those fields in it for me to turn these into chain searches. So what I'll do is I'm going to create a search, and we'll call this firewall stats base. And then I'm going to stop hitting tab and say index. Well, I've got this already saved over here. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to say index source type equals mem info, and then I'm going to tell it what fields I want to include. And the fields, I mean, I pretty much have them right here. So if I just include these, and I'm going to remove all the extra. I need that one, that one. We're going to need to take this out. And the most important one that we're going to need, since I'm doing time charts, is underscore time. Don't forget that. Now I should be able to hit apply and close. And then from here, we can start creating some chain searches. So what I can do is come up here and let's say this, let's grab this. I'm going to hit cancel, create a new chain search. I'm going to select my parent, which is that firewall. There we go. And then I'm going to add this. And we will hit apply and close. And I should have named it something. So let's name it. Let's see, which one am I doing here? Free. So free. Or yeah, we'll just say available underscore mem. Apply and close. Now I have available mem, which I believe was this one here. Yeah, average free. I'm going to come in here and remove this one. I'm going to set the primary data source to this one now. And we give it a second, and this should come up with my search results. I may have to click save. Refresh it. And there we go. So now, oh, I have it on the last 24 hours, 60 minutes. Yeah, I don't know why. It had a little hiccup there. It wasn't picking up and going with it, but there, yeah, it's using the last 60 minutes now. Same output that was before. If I go in here and click on this, we can see that it's using that new search, available mem. So now I need to go through and update the rest of these. I do want the other, so I want to grab this one here. So I'm going to create a new search off of this. Just say use percentage. So let's go here. I can do it two ways. I can click in here and create the chain search, or since I already have that all there and I know I want another, let's say area chart, just so we can see the difference. I'm going to delete this one, just get it out of the way. We'll move this one, we'll make it smaller and kind of out of the way over here, and we'll make this one bigger. But I'm going to set this primary data source. I don't have the change search I want yet, so same thing again. We're going to the firewall base, add this in place. I didn't mean to rhyme there. And then we're going to give it a name this time. So usage percentage. We'll just keep it short. Apply and close. And now we can get that. We can make this a single value. So if I wanted to make it a single value, I could try and see what happens if I do it like this. It doesn't like it. We can, try to come down here and maybe select the correct number, which it's not going to work because I'm using the average and I'm doing a time chart thing. So if you want to use this as a single value, you will have to go back and update your search. And instead of time chart, we can say stats, apply and close. And now I can get that single value. So I can get my utilization percentage. And, maybe I want something at util, whatever we want to put in there. And then we can say if it's, give it that coloring, dynamic, none. We'll say this. And then, right now it's red. I need to go fix that. So I want to change this around because I want it to be, if it's not being used that much, I want it to be green. So there we go. We're good, because if I get up to 80% or more, and we can add a percent sign there. Bam, look at that. Really nice. So here, I went over how to do some, bring the data in. I went over a little bit of the SNMP. You will have to do some thinking about what is going to be the best way for you and your team to bring that data in. If you got one box and you want to do it like I've done here, you can do that. If you just want to practice with the SNMP command and creating a script to bring that data in, definitely do it like I'm doing. But there is third-party tools out there that are more mature and better than just manually doing this. But I wanted to teach myself more about the SNMP protocol, and that's why I did this. And I thought I would share all the things that I've been learning as I've been doing this. And then after I got that data into Splunk, how I started to manipulate the data, extract the data. I didn't like how Splunk did it at first, so I had to go back in and build my own props and transforms and my regex to create the fields I want to use, built report dashboard off of those fields, and even showed how to use the eval to do some mathematics to give you that total RAM, percentage use, and then maybe even a time chart, and switch from a time chart, line chart for percentage used over to a single value here. I hope this has been helpful, and as always, happy spelunking.